hit that subscribe button, man. We got SikApe in the Northgate. We're gonna take questions, get some of y'all questions from the crowd, man, so we can take some of the questions y'all might have. And I got a couple of questions for Rod to start it out, and then we'll take questions from y'all. So if you're just not tuning in, hit that like, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you share it. And we're finna crack heads and twist caps, man. You already know how Rod do it. We picking the lock here. We going through the time machine, and we piecing the puzzle together. Most of my questions is stimulated around. We're gonna get to your questions, Sugar Shane. Hey, most of my questions is stimulated around what's going on now. Hey, Rod. So you left off while Japan said that they don't want to take no money from U.S. dollars no more. Nobody wants the U.S. dollar for that matter.
Well, that was before BRICS.
Go ahead.
Japan is trying to outcompete in productivity and quality products. Hold on. Let's show you something. I was working at GM. They was telling us about this guy, to start doing research on him. His name is Dr. Deming, and he came up with this quality program for productivity, what they call quality control measures. The Japanese, when Ford, Chrysler, GM turned him down and said they didn't want to hear it. So because he was already an auto executive, he was going on a trip to Japan. He presented it to the Japanese auto manufacturers. This is where your Lexus come from, your Lexus and your Infiniti. So when he presented it to them, they was like, that's the key, because if you go back to before the 70s and even in the 70s, when you seen something that has a stamp on it said made in America, you knew you had some top of the line A1 best made stuff on the planet. Don't nobody do it like us. But now we doing everything using cheaper material, shortcutting the labor to maximize profits, and is making the products crap. So they stick to the quality dynamic. So they stealing our reputation by stealing our quality productivity ratio that we used to maintain. Right? That's the difference in the architecture of old and the architecture of today. Some of these buildings is 20,000, 30,000, 50,000, 100,000 years old. They look like they was built 200 years ago. And some of these new buildings been around 30, 40 years. They look like it's time to tear them down. Right?
That's facts. Hey, now that, this is my next question for you, because we got Trump in there. He rolling out the plan. Well, people say, he went down by paying 2025, but it seemed like to me he rolling it right out, straight out the gate. Now, this real ID thing, you heard anything about that? Because I looked it up and it said May 7th that they'll be rolling out this real ID. And
the real ID came out in 2010. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but it said like they had a mandate on there. I looked it up. I think it was 20.
Go look up what a mandate. You got Google on your
law. Yeah, mandate not a law. I know mandate not a law. Law or request, a mandate or ordinance, a code. None of that. You know what I'm saying? We can get into that if you from a Morris. But I'm saying,
we went over what a mandate is, and I know a lot of the sisters been around for a minute. They don't want no mandate.
They don't want no mandate. All right, we'll go to the next question. So my next question is, because people was asking, because I'm really going off the questions that the people asked in the recent shows. When Ron come back on asking this. Now, since Trump coming back in and he returning and kind of like returning it to the people, what does Mama Rabbit with her Lodial title and everything? How does that play with all the empresses on the land and the ones that did claim certain things, like the Washita tribe? I think it's shout out Empress Wendy.
So right now we don't have we know where all of the tribal leadership is located at, coming through military channels as part of the continuity of government. This how they know who to watch for the oral tradition, who to watch, who to surrender paperwork to. The loyalty title don't mean anything to the tribes over here amongst us. The allodial title is Europe's method of keeping track of what they steal and who stole it and when it was stolen, because they got to give it back. Them giving her the title was just letting them know that y'all, the gig is up, y'all got us. Here's the receipt to show you that you got us. Right? It's the same with the first charter of the Bar Association that tell us that they told them to use the court system to take everything from us. And that's why we can't hardly win no court foreclosures on no fraudulent mortgages. It's all trickery, deception, fraud, 120 degrees of tricknology. Strike the shepherd and scatter the flock. Take the leaders out of in front of the people, and the people be perpetually confused. We ain't confused no more. We know that y'all took our leaders. We know that y'all holding them hostage. I'm not saying they criminals. I'm not saying that they did something wrong for you to put them in prison, because we was at war. And when you at war, you required to do some things that you wouldn't do if you was in peacetime. And if you take away the warrior's right to fight, defend the freedom of the people, you take away the right of the people to have freedom. So we know where they at. We know how you misled them. We know how you caught them when they was young, before they knew who they was, so that you can have them in your custody. You messed around and let one out the cracks.
Right.
You let one of the chiefs out the cracks. And I'm telling all of y'all government business, because once these sisters get it on the gossip circle and these babies understand how it work, y'all screwed. It don't matter what y'all do with me at this point. The babies got it now, Elder.
That's right. Hey, that's what the mission was, get the kids. Hey, this is my next question, because bringing up kids and, parenthood and things, Trump is going after guys with a child support system. Could you go in on how that system been rigged? Because I heard you a little bit before.
The child support system is what you call arbitrary operations. The friend of the court is not what people think it is. The friend of the court is supposed to be an independent person that carries the significant fact underlying to the elements of truth in the case, and they don't want to take sides with the prosecutor or the defense. They just need the court to know that this piece of information has been looked over, and I'm the only one that got it. I'm going to give it to you, and you do with it what you will. I'm coming as the friend of the court. It has nothing to do with child support. Child support, the Supreme Court of the state arbitrarily creates a collection team, a collection agency, and they insert the collection agency under the responsibilities of friend of the court. Right? Now remember, friend of the court use arbitration, they don't use adjudication. When they call you in for your child support, you got to go before a retired judge. Right? You don't go to court, family court, where juvenile procedures and divorces take place. It's a whole separate building, because they don't have nothing to do with the court. It's an arbitrary collection agency. And there's nowhere written in the universe where you in debt because you gave birth or allowed a woman to be pregnant. There's nowhere in the universe. They can't never validate that debt using the Fair Debt Collection Act. The problem is they don't give a damn about your rights. You don't have any. Right? And because they say we don't have any rights, and that ain't just us melanated, that's anybody that go in front of a judge in the courtroom. You don't have rights. Because you're not under the Constitution, you're under the Admiralty Uniform Commercial Code of Banking. You're not even in the same nexus and venue of judicial order that you're supposed to be under for violating the laws of the land. And don't say they don't got tribal courts. They all over the place. We just don't use them because we don't know no better. Tribal courts ain't never left.
Brother, that's getting. I heard a lot of different stories, crazy stories that I couldn't even believe that the court would go that keep on doing it. But it comes to find out, they said that's $1 billion in some industry, over $1 billion industry a year, stealing money from parents, like, you know, with that child support system. It's $1 billion industry. So
More
it's
than that.
huh?
It's more than that.
Yeah,
See,
I
a lot
can't
of
remember the exact number, but it was high. That number was
yeah.
high as hell. That they told me, I almost fell out of my chair when they said, "Damn, let me." And they said that they make most of the money, like to pay out certain agents within that branch. Like they are, it's like a big Ponzi scheme, big hustle, pretty much, because they only give like 10-20% of the money they collect to the kid.
For a woman to put you on child support, that's the same as calling the police saying you committed a crime that you didn't commit.
Damn. I ain't look at it like that. That's right.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
That's all it is that's part of the feminist movement. That came out of the feminist movement. Most of us don't know. It's a book called Fatherless America. Everybody need to get it. Before the 1950s, the children were traditionally left with the breadwinner, which was normally the father.
Right.
Children didn't start being left with the mother until in divorces and separations, until they came out with something called government assistance. The government assistance was part of the tearing down of the families.
That's right.
By allowing, right. So you giving people the right to keep the child away from the other parent. That's not a right. Nobody had a right to keep the child from the other parent. That's not a right.
Right.
Right. The way that you deal with that is you have a family council. Normally it's 3 or 4 women from his side of the family, 3 or 4 women from her side of the family. And then they watch y'all while y'all interact with the children. Mm-hmm. And the most functional parent is the one supposed to have a child. If he a lazy slob, don't want to work, sit at home, play video games all day, he can't take care of no babies. Right? But if he get up, he go to work, you know what I'm saying, he got a good network of friends that helps him, he can take care of him just as well as she can.
Right.
Right? And it's the same with her. If she sit on the couch eating bonbons, watching soap operas all day, and the house look like a tornado hit it for no reason, then that's defeating the purpose of why she at home. Right? And if everybody have a role to play in the family structure, then everybody's supposed to play their role. The way that the system is designed to take that ability for each member of the family to play their role. Right? We used to have aunties come get the babies for the weekend because mama know where they at. They with her sister, they straight.
Right.
You don't do that no more. Because the aunties now marrying some guys with unsavory characters because they forgot how to vet a man.
That's right. You talking some stuff, bro. And you know, another thing that Doc said when Doc was talking about the same thing you talking about, and he said that when they was able on this type of system, they say you can't have the man there in order for you to get this from us. We become your man.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
When they was giving those women, especially in the inner cities, Chicago, New York, Philadelphia, Boston, Atlanta, Miami, New Orleans, they used to come in, the social services come in and say, if it's a man in the house, you can't get assistance. It's not going to happen. I remember my father came to visit us, and my mom was getting assistance in the 70s. He fucked around and went off and left a pair of shoes. My mama had a fit. Because she knew that them people was coming. I was so glad when we got stable enough to not need them people coming around dipping their nose in our house.
Yes. So when you get assistance from the government, they pretty much tell you, like, they became the father figure. And then not to mention, they brought in crack cocaine into our communities, and that made it even worse. on top of the getting the fathers out the house, half of them went to you know, to the crack and that or the drugs or the liquor, whatever they had us on at the time. So that brings my next question. Now, based on what's going on now with do you got anything on, because the federal workers were asking me, hey, when Rod come back on, ask them this. They said, should they take a deal? Now I didn't get a chance to look up what deal they were talking about. They saying the federal workers finna get off of the deal. And they saying, should they take the deal?
They already started sending the letters out. And they're closing down anyway.
Okay.
They downsizing first.
Yeah, that's what she said. She said something about like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They laying people off.
Look, people got to know, they have to be smart enough and can understand their situation enough to know what decision to make.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I was surprised when there was no mention of a lump sum payment once the federal government get downsized coming back to those workers. Mm-hmm. But just like when they canceled the fiat, they attached a 20% interest rate on the people's return of their money for their fraudulent loans.
Dang.
Right. I don't know how far they go back. So far, I think they stopping at 1979 for foreclosures, for giving people back. So that's shit, what? 35 years? Yeah, 36 years?
No, it's about like from the 1979, you said?
Mm-hmm.
No, shit, that's more than that's about damn near 40 years almost. Maybe more than it. Well, shit, look, say 30, 25, boom. It'll be 22 plus, it'd be 20, 40, it'd be 46 years, 47 years. Yep.
So that's how far they got going back for that. From what I understand at this point, they might go back further later, but for the bank fraud foreclosures, they at least going back to 79.
That's gonna be a lot of money.
We took everything they had because they owed us everything and they couldn't pay it back.
That's right. That makes sense.
That's why you kept seeing all them trains full of UN confiscated materials. But they had to liquidate that stuff.
Right. That's right. Trump liquidating right now. He cracking up. He finding all the leaks. Because I see it seems like to me, based on me studying what his cabinet doing since they went in, they going out there seeing who are we paying. Let's see who are we paying. All right, so why are we paying this guy? Why are we paying that guy? That's kind of what they're doing. Why are we paying this guy? You know, why are we paying these guys? And so I guess that brings my next question. Do you see the American economy? Because we know that the government has gone down. So what is the next thing after the government completely go out, switch over, however it go? What goes from there? Would it be a space of chaos where it's no order?
It's not just pure chaos. It's chaotic events.
Okay.
Like a Black Hawk helicopter flying into a passenger plane.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Chaotic events.
Okay.
Like mysterious fires in California. Chaotic events.
Yeah.
People driving down Bourbon Street shooting. Blowing up trucks in Las Vegas. Chaotic events. Kids, schools being shot up.
Right.
Right. Chaotic events. All these chaotic events is to make us be scared. The stuff of the school shootings is to try to force parents to shut the school system down because they're not safe.
Right.
Right. But somebody's baby's still getting hurt in them events. You understand what I'm saying, Elder? Somebody's babies is still getting hurt.
Right.
Just because they running these psyops don't mean people not getting hurt for real.
Right.
Right. And whether it's Sandy Hooks, whether it's Oklahoma City, whether it's the World Trade Center, whether it's Trayvon Martin, it's people physically getting taken out of the game.
Right.
For them to keep us fearful. Right.
Psychological warfare, right?
Right. Because if they can kill them, if they can make enough people afraid of them, people not going to resist their BS.
Right.
Right. So they need to instigate fear mongering through these chaotic events, these chaotic episodes. They know they lost. They know they leaving. They just trying to tear the house up on their way out.
Right. Somebody said, "Do you trust Trump?" I think he already broke that down in so many ways. Do we trust Donald Trump?
Somebody just messaged me something similar in my I was checking some of my messages. I'm behind about 4 days. But somebody asked me about Trump. Look, I don't even know if Trump real. I never met the man. I never shook his hand. But whoever playing that character, whether he's a real person or not, don't matter to me. Because the work that's being done in our face is telling me this is our buck dancing right here.
That's what I'm trying to tell you.
So while Agent Orange, you know, that's his CIA code name for negotiation tactics and the negotiating of financial matters. That's his history. That's his record as a negotiator. He's Agent Orange. Why do they call him that? Ask a Vietnam vet to explain to you what Agent Orange does when they get on you.
Right.
Can't damn near get that shit off and stop it from burning. Yeah. Right? So the Orange Man, I don't have to trust him. I just have to know that the work that he's taking the credit for, whether he's doing it or not, is the work of dismantling the corporation, because we have to first take down the corporation, restore the republic, then the republic restores to common law, and everything go back to tribal government.
The republic really is officially up right now since January, right? Like the republic is officially back up. Like once Trump took the apparent look of office, the republic really has never went down, really. But I'm saying it's back up. Like that's what Trump bringing back in he bringing back in the republic. Because we pledge allegiance to the United States of America for the republic for which it stands. Why didn't they say Democrat right there? Some other part.
Huh? The Democrat was part of the Republican Party at first.
Go ahead.
It was called the Democratic Republic Party. Right? And the reason they said they split, now listen to the wording, to maintain the appearance of an adversarial system. The Democratic Republicans had wiped out a whole bunch of the Native Party, the Whig Party. It was a whole bunch of other political allied groups at the time. You didn't just have a two-party system, but they end up destroying all of the other political parties because they had the most influence. Because coming from the South, they carry in the whole South, right? Yeah. And when the split come, you could see clearly when the split come, because when the split come, they stop painting the senators and congressmen with faces like ours and start painting them like faces from other people. Yeah. Yeah. 22. I heard that. I think that was Todd Sharif Bay that said that it was 22 Republican Moors in the Congress. And then the Ku Klux Klan went around forcing everybody to turn to Democrats. Back then, that's when the Klan was being ran by the Black Hand.
Okay, go ahead. That makes
sense. Remember, the Black Brotherhood of Spain is the source of their regalia.
Yeah, go ahead.
And their literature is called the Koran. Right? The Koran tell you about Masonic ties.
Go ahead.
Secret societies and brotherhoods. So when you realize that when you read Masonic literature from the early 1900s, the KKK was a reputable secret society. Yeah, it had nothing to do with a racist group. It was a secret brotherhood, right? They had this movie and they had all these pale faces in the room, and the brother was telling them that he was the blood heir to the society. And they knew who he was, and they was hoping he didn't figure it out. But once he figured it out, he pulled rank on him. Damn. That's what the KKK is. See, it started out with some conquistadors running it.
Yeah.
And the conquistadors would make it look like it was an organization of pale faces.
Yeah.
But that's not what they started off as.
Yeah, I seen it. I've seen the pictures when they was in Morocco and they was wearing the white hoods before they even came over here. These conquistadors, they had these white hoods on. So that was an organization that already going back.
They had one in Spain too. Spain is the source of the regalia.
Okay, the wizard hat, looking hat, the grand wizard and all this.
Yeah,
yeah.
So all of those rankings, they have other secret societies that have those same titles and ranks. Just be aware of that.
Yep. 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 Hey, my next question for you, Rod. Somebody was asking. Now the IRS thing. Now, since we know that the this British crown is dissolving and Donald Trump is pretty much cutting everybody off, that tell them, hey, we don't need you no more.
If y'all collecting income taxes, this your last year because they're gonna stop taking them out your check.
I think so too. I see that happening too.
Now,
Donald
if you
Trump
smart,
talking about that. Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah. If you smart, you do what I did when I was working at GM. I put percentage of my money into a 401k way over what they was matching. That reduced my tax bracket and allowed me to bring more money home and allowed me to save money at the same time.
Hey, Rod, that's a smart play right there. Because it seemed like to me when I was working overtime, I only say if I made $100 overtime, they take 90 of it. Give me $10. Say, yeah, that's why they take 90 of it over. Like I'm like, damn, I might well just shouldn't even work the overtime. You know?
But see, that's what be making like a lot of people only will work so many hours of overtime because when they do the math, it's not financially viable to do too much overtime because your tax bracket is start moving up to the next two brackets up if you make too much money in a year.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
It's all trickery and deception. It's a good way to steal because on the other side of that is the inflation on value of the currency. Okay. So your purchasing power at the register drastically diminishes with the inflation rise.
That's right.
So when they insert the interim currency, it's going to be a gold-back, probably silver-back currency. But when they reinsert it, it's going to immediately erase inflation. Prices is going to drop. Candy bar is going to be a nickel again.
Damn, I believe it. I can see that.
Right.
Hey, go ahead.
So this is a necessary part of deconstructing the old system and reconstructing a new one.
Mm-hmm.
He said that the Internal Revenue Service is going to be the External Revenue Service now. What do that mean?
Right.
But all these people that we've been just they personal penny bank, they come over here and get in these slush funds and get whatever they need. Had the lobbyists put something in the bill so they can get economic aid. All that was the false pretense to circulate the U.S. Federal Reserve note in order to give it a appearance of a value.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it didn't really have value. The only reason why it sustained as long as it did because America through Aramco and OPEC was forcing everybody to trade oil in U.S. dollars because they had that stranglehold on Saudi Arabia and a lot of those Arab countries by military threat and by resource development.
Mm-hmm.
Most of us don't know that the United States went to Saudi Arabia and assisted them in setting up the oil rigs and all that over there. That's a carryover from America's 1800s. Right? They don't find oil in Saudi Arabia until like the 1920s or 30s. So they haven't even been having money 100 years over there. And look how they doing.
Yep.
Now imagine when we had the same access to our own wealth as they have to theirs. Because we got way more oil.
It's right. Oklahoma is the all-capital capital of the world. Why they ain't telling nobody yet? Why they ain't mentioning that, bro? Why ain't nobody mentioning this shit?
Listen, you got people like El Chapo. He was dealing with the coca. He didn't know that the resource they was forcing him to use, so he wouldn't take the resource that he was supposed to righteously use, the mineral wealth of Mexico. I tried to tell them, the people from Mexico, look up what they taking out of Mexico and ask where's that money going and who getting it. Because of Mexico's poverty is so great to make everybody want to run up here, but they minerally filthy rich. They richer than any other. They richer than Saudi Arabia, but they ain't reaping the rewards. They outsourcing the wealth. They concealing the wealth from the people. They holding it in the warlock. Now the warlock is open. Ain't no more war. It's just cleanup now. What you call the aftermath. Dr. Dre, been there, done that. You got guns, we got straps. You dig? So if they stop you from using the wealth of the land, you gonna find some way to get it from the dirt. That's our nature. They know that. So what they do, they put blockades over the nickel, cobalt, oil. Because you don't know, Mexico is filthy rich in oil too. They got just as much oil as Saudi Arabia, but they're not allowed. They under U.S. embargo.
Right. And they got diamonds. Doc said they got a whole bunch of diamonds on there. And he said you can smuggle, people be smuggling whole kilos, but if you can't even smuggle a little small piece of diamond from over there, they said they search you real hard for little diamonds and shit to see if you bringing it back over here. I said, damn, so they must got a lot of emeralds and stones over in Mexico. They rich on
They got them all up and down the West Coast. Yeah. They just don't tell people. They think that the gold rush was only gold. They got diamonds out west. Rubies, sapphires, all that. They just don't want you to know it, because as long as you think all of the wealth comes from one place, you're not going to look over here and say, where's my wealth going?
Right.
That's what Donald Trump's saying. Stop looking at everybody else's pockets and check yours.
Damn. That's a cold.
You remember? Remember before they shot Malcolm, that nigga said, get your hand out my pocket.
Yeah. Yeah.
Chickens coming home to roost. We coming to get their hands out our pocket. And to get the one who stuck his hand in there and the one who pocket he stuck it in. Because they was working together.
Man, that's cold. That's become my next question, Rod. Because I got a lot of guys out here that got their money in the bank. Now, being that we're going into this type of new era, and some people got over 10,000 in the bank. What do you think? Should you think they should have all their money in the bank, or should they have half in the bank? What are your perspective on having money in the bank, being that we're going into this system?
All I can tell you is anybody with money in the bank is not going to lose it. When the banks close for the resetting of the currency, then when they open back up, you're going to get the adjusted rate, right? Then the adjusted rate is the difference without inflation attached onto it. So your 10,000 might turn into 100,000 on the rate adjustment to the new currency. Then it might turn around. They got to give you your penalty for holding your money. And that can be, so far, the precedent is set at roughly 20%. So it could be as high as 20%.
So let me ask you this. Should they put that in a trust? Like have a trust where it protects that? Because under like the straw man system, you know, if they say, oh, well, because they got a thing, the IRS, not the IRS, it's somebody, they wrote a new clause in where they can seize your account under this straw man thing. So if they under a straw man, or should they put that account in a trust, or they land, or whatever? Like when the switch happens, if they got land, should they put that in a trust, or would they be good?
Okay, so right now it ain't gonna really matter, because whatever you got right now, if somebody try to take it for you in the turnaround, it's gonna be secure because you already got it right now. That's the first thing gonna be secure. What you have right now is what the system gonna be designed to do. Once everybody's stuff, what they got right now is secured, then we say, okay, now let's see who the injured parties is and where they injured at and how we can compensate them, right? So then the first thing they're gonna go through is mortgages, car loans, and mortgages and car loan and credit cards, and systematically start giving people back money. People who had to file bankruptcy because they $300,000, $400,000 in credit card debt.
Damn, that's crazy.
That's usury. That was a way to enslave you to be a perpetual donor to the credit card's coffers.
Damn. I like the credit card system because I like it better than using fiat, because once I use the credit card, I just take the fiat and pay the credit card off and make my credit score go up. That way, if I do want to get some,
your credit score being the higher your credit score, the better slave you is. That's all that means.
Oh yeah, that sounds about right.
Look, I take a debit card full of money than a credit card full of credit any day.
Why? What's your perspective on that? Like, why you don't like using the credit card? Because it seems like to me,
debt is slavery.
Debit, you ain't making no. It seems like to me, when the debit, you ain't making no money.
Debt is slavery.
Yeah,
it's automatic. As soon as you in debt to somebody, you they slave.
I'm saying it's a different type of credit card that I'm talking about.
It don't matter what credit. As soon as you say credit, you saying slave.
Yeah, I get that part.
Credit, a creditor is the slave owner, right? Because he gave the creditee the credit.
Yeah, you become the debtor. I understand that part. What I'm saying is, so what we saying, we got an option. All right, we're using the fiat, which ain't money, so we still a slave using it, and we're using the credit. So either way it go, we're a slave on both ends. But what I'm saying is, when we use the credit, they keep the credit bureau keeps a record of it. And so if I had $10, right? I go in the store and spend that 10. All right, so that 10 just got spent, and I paid tax on it. But say if I go in there and use my credit card, right, and I put 10, and I spent 10 on my credit card, they're gonna create a credit report for me, boom, and I just take the $10 because I got a secure credit card. So secure credit card, it's like I already gave them a certain amount of money, and I'm just paying myself back. And so they report that at the credit bureau, the credit union. They report that. I'm just saying, if you still want to work the system this way, so it's
not working the system. It's working you.
I don't think you get what I'm saying. I get what you're saying.
Soon as you said a secured credit card, it's not a debt instrument anymore.
Go ahead.
Because you have on reserve capital to cover the balance of whatever you use on the card. That's debit. That's not credit.
But they still working. I work it as a credit, and it goes to my credit report, and it makes my credit score.
Right. That's because of the nature of the fiat.
Okay.
It's not because of the access to the card. The card, you had to put fiat up as the collateral. The collateral is already there on the secured card.
Yeah, that's a secured card.
That's the same as having gold on reserve that supports this currency that's about to come out.
Right.
They can't print currency that devalues the gold. That means they can't print currency value that exceed the value of gold on reserve.
Right.
Okay, now, if you have a secured credit card, the credit card limit is how much you put up as collateral.
Mm-hmm.
If they was really giving you a credit card, whatever you put up would be 10% of your available accessible credit line. But they don't do that with secure cards. Secure card means if it's a $500, look, if it's a $500 secured credit card, you got to put up $500. That's not credit.
Right.
It's the illusion of credit so that you won't realize the difference in the debit credit systems. It's an illusion. It's a David Copperfield trick.
Yeah, I know
done by bankers.
Yeah, so you saying don't even fuck with it. But I'm saying I'm
not saying whether to mess with it or not. Look, this is the number one thing for anybody that's looking for advice from somebody else. First, a special situation.
Okay.
if I don't know your situation and I try to tell you how to resolve your situation without understanding it, I'm giving you bad advice and bad information.
Go ahead.
But as soon as I can understand exactly what you're saying about your situation, where you come from, then I could give you the resources to help you figure out what you're doing. But everybody got to know their situation, right? Secure your own asset first. Secure the self first, right? That means if you paying mortgage and you don't know nothing about this stuff we talking about, keep paying your mortgage so you don't have to deal with the foreclosure process. But if you understand what's going on and you want to take your risk to stop paying your mortgage, be aware that we don't know how long this is going to last, so we don't know how long you got to stop paying your mortgage. Or else we could tell you 90 days is how many you got to be at least 3 months behind before they initiate a foreclosure.
Yeah, and and then for the insurance will pay the bank off whatever your note was. Say if your note was $400,000, they'll pay the AIG pays off that note because the bank get it insured. Yeah, so they gonna get the money no matter what, and then they foreclose your house still. And that's really the illegal part. The illegal part is them selling your contract without your knowledge, like selling that note or selling that particular.
That's the same thing. Credit cards. Have you ever get called from a bill collector?
Yeah, right. That's fact.
Once they sold your credit, your debt instrument to somebody else, it settles the debt with you.
Yep, that's illegal. Yep,
it automatically look. If they didn't ask you to switch it over to an arbitrator and they just sent it to a third party, they said, hey, we don't accept the debt no more. If they pay you, they pay you. If they don't, they don't.
Yeah. But you know, they slick now, Rod. They put in the contract for you sign it. The first one there, if you forfeit this contract, you agree to us selling it to somebody else. They get slick and add that in the small print in the bottom. But you know what I'm saying? It's still ways you can get out of it by how you sign it. If you sign it in a trust, or if you sign it in, certain ways you can sign to where you won't be directly reliable for as your particular straw man won't be directly and reliable to it. But this is the thing I was gonna ask you next. And we're gonna take questions from the crowd. We got about 6 more minutes. We'll take questions from the crowd, and then we'll go into that. This is my last question before I start taking questions from the crowd. Now, like I say, Donald Trump is doing his thing. He going in, he smacking folks around, running folks off. Like I said, the federal workers
running the country like death row.
Yeah, right. Pretty much, he going in like death row. He talking about getting everybody tax cuts, straightening some of the rigmarole in some of the systems, some of these foreign agencies that have been collecting and getting over on the American people. So after Trump clean all this up, do you think that he'll turn on the American people and start becoming like a dictator?
I had a conversation with you, and you like, nah, the black people wasn't the Neanderthal. So
when the Neanderthal was present, they was here before the original race called the moon race. Today we call them white people. But back then we used to call them albinos. Albions, right? They wasn't here. If you look up the time frame, matter of fact, I'm gonna go to it so I can tell you. We know from historical record there was no pale faces on planet Earth before 8,400 years ago.
So they're a young race. They got fresh legs.
Yeah, the newest race.
New kids on the block.
Yeah. So the Homo sapiens, the hominin species that existed for at least 200,000 years throughout Europe and Western Asia and disappeared 27,000 years ago. So that was 8,500 years ago from 27,000. That's about 18,000 years before paleface emerged. The last Neanderthal was here. Right. All peoples on the planet Earth was melanated, and it was intervention in laboratories that caused the lower spectrum of the DNA to outwardly express. Everything that you see in the human arena is on the DNA of the great mother, the first mother. all of your DNA traits, the full spectrum, from your lightest skin to your darkest skin, from your tightest curl hair to your straightest hair, it's all in her DNA. Right? Bobby Hemmings said it was a woman walking around with universes in her uterus in America.
Mm-hmm.
And when y'all figure out who she is, she's the mother of all of us. She don't take no sides in sibling rivalry. She tell y'all to sort that stuff out, and y'all come to me when y'all know how to act right. We got to get over this racist doctrine because it's a critical mechanism of divide and conquer.
Right.
And as Dr. Neely Fuller said, if you don't understand white supremacy is a military strategy. If you don't understand white supremacy, everything that you think you understand is actually confusing.
Yes. Okay.
White supremacy is codified and called the protocols of the wise men or the learned elders of Zion. And the rollout to it is the morals and dogma of Albert Pike. The battleground is the corporation known as the United States, the interim government for the last hurrah of the Great War.
Which is the Great War, which is
the 6,000-year reign of the people that was antithesis to Earth, the inverted people from the mirror universe.
So even when we the fifth root race they say is the Aryans. So even the Aryans, original Aryans, were melanated people then.
They still is. The original Aryans, they called them the untouchables of India. They call them Dravidians. They look like the Jackson 5s from the early 70s. They whole bloodline. Some of them got wavy hair and they dark. Some of them darker than us. Rich, make me and you look light skinned.
Oh man, this is